The Los Angeles Dodgers have seen turbulent moments this season. Moments of tension. Moments of uncertainty. Moments that tested the chemistry and resolve of a roster built to win a championship. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared anyone inside that organization for what unfolded in the past 48 hours. Because what happened inside the Dodgers clubhouse this week did not stay inside the Dodgers clubhouse. It exploded outward. It shook the foundation of one of the most carefully constructed teams in baseball. And at the center of it all was an incident so stunning, so completely unexpected, that multiple sources described their reaction to it with a single word: disbelief. What started as a simmering tension between teammates escalated into something that crossed every professional boundary imaginable. And now, the Dodgers organization is facing a crisis that goes far beyond wins and losses, a crisis that has forced manager Dave Roberts to step forward and make announcements that nobody saw coming. This is the full story. And it changes everything. According to multiple inside sources, the confrontation between Brett Phillips and Shohei Ohtani did not come from nowhere. There had been tension building beneath the surface for several days. A quiet friction that the coaching staff had noticed but had not yet addressed, because in a clubhouse full of competitive professionals, a certain level of internal friction is considered normal. But what happened in that clubhouse was not normal. According to those present, the incident occurred following a game in which the Dodgers had left an unacceptable number of runners on base. The mood in the clubhouse was already tense. The loss had stung. And the feeling that the team had failed to execute when it mattered most was sitting heavily on every person in that room. That was the atmosphere when Brett Phillips approached Shohei Ohtani. What followed, according to multiple sources who witnessed the confrontation firsthand, began as a verbal exchange. But it did not stay verbal for long. Phillips reportedly directed a series of comments toward Ohtani that those present described as completely inappropriate, aggressive, disrespectful, and shocking in their intensity coming from one teammate to another. The words themselves spread quickly through the clubhouse, and the reaction from those who heard them was immediate and visceral. But then the situation escalated further. According to multiple inside sources, Phillips did not stop at words. There was a physical component to the confrontation, a moment of aggression that crossed a line so clearly, so undeniably, that everyone in that room understood instantly that something had fundamentally changed. The entire clubhouse went silent. Not the heavy silence of tension. The complete, frozen silence of shock. According to those present in that moment, the reaction from Ohtani's teammates was immediate. Several players stepped forward. Not to escalate the situation further, but to make absolutely clear to Phillips that what had just occurred was unacceptable. According to multiple sources, the voices that rose in that clubhouse were not quiet ones. Players who are not typically known for confrontation made their feelings known in terms that left no room for misunderstanding. Ohtani himself, according to those who were watching him closely in those moments, remained composed in a way that multiple sources described as remarkable given the circumstances. He did not retaliate. He did not match the aggression directed at him. But the expression on his face, according to everyone who saw it, communicated the full magnitude of what had just happened. This was not a minor disagreement between teammates. This was not the kind of friction that gets laughed off in a few days. This was a serious incident. And everyone in that room knew it. Word reached manager Dave Roberts within minutes. According to multiple sources, Roberts was informed of what had occurred before he had even finished his post-game responsibilities. And the moment he received that information, everything else stopped. Roberts immediately convened with his coaching staff. The conversations that followed, according to those with knowledge of them, were urgent and direct. There was no debate about whether this required a response. The only question was what that response would look like. The following morning, Dave Roberts stood in front of his team and made an announcement. According to multiple sources who were present in that room, the atmosphere before Roberts began speaking was unlike anything the coaching staff had created intentionally this season. Every player was present. Every coach was present. Nobody was on their phone. Nobody was moving around the room. Everyone understood that what was about to be said mattered. Roberts did not ease into it. He did not begin with pleasantries or attempt to soften the context. He stood at the front of that room, looked at his players, and addressed what had happened directly. According to those present, Roberts stated clearly and without ambiguity that what had occurred would not be tolerated within the Dodgers organization under any circumstances. That the standard of respect required between teammates was not negotiable. That this team had been built on a culture, a specific, intentional culture, and that culture would be protected regardless of who tested it or how. Roberts then made his shocking announcement. Brett Phillips would no longer be part of this roster. The room absorbed that statement in complete silence. Roberts did not stop there. He reportedly addressed the broader issue of accountability within the clubhouse, making clear that the Dodgers' championship aspirations depended not just on talent, but on the kind of trust and mutual respect that made it possible for that talent to function at its highest level. He spoke about Ohtani specifically. About what Ohtani represented, not just to this team, but to the entire organization. And about the fact that directing that kind of aggression toward any teammate, let alone toward the cornerstone of everything the Dodgers were trying to build, was something the organization would respond to decisively. When Roberts finished speaking, nobody moved for several seconds. The last words he said before dismissing the team were short. Simple. And according to every source present, they landed with the full weight he intended. We protect each other here. Or we don't stay here. But the Phillips situation was only the beginning of what the Dodgers announced in the hours that followed. Because the organization had apparently been building toward a series of roster decisions that had been under discussion for longer than the public knew. And the events of the past 48 hours accelerated a timeline that might otherwise have unfolded more gradually. According to multiple sources with direct knowledge of the decisions, the Dodgers simultaneously designated 3 players for assignment, a move that sent immediate shockwaves through the organization and instantly transformed the composition of the bullpen. The scale of the move was virtually unprecedented for this franchise at this stage of the season. Designating 3 players at once is not a routine adjustment. It is a statement. It is an organization saying, loudly, clearly, and without apology, that the current configuration is not good enough and that dramatic action is required. According to those familiar with the internal deliberations, the decision had been building for weeks. The Dodgers' bullpen had been a source of growing concern within the coaching staff. Not because of any single catastrophic failure, but because of a pattern, a persistent, frustrating pattern of inconsistency that had repeatedly cost the team in moments when the game was there to be won. Roberts had raised his concerns internally. The medical and performance staff had contributed their analysis. And Brandon Gomez and the front office had reviewed the cumulative picture and arrived at a conclusion that left no room for half measures. The bullpen needed to be rebuilt. Not adjusted. Rebuilt. And so in a single decisive move, the Dodgers cleared 3 roster spots simultaneously, sending a message to every pitcher in that organization about the standard of performance that would be required going forward. According to multiple sources, the players informed of their designation received the news in individual meetings with the coaching staff. The conversations were described as professional but difficult. These were not players who had failed to compete. They were players who had simply not been able to deliver the consistency that a team with World Series expectations demands at this level. The Dodgers thanked them for their contributions. And then the organization moved forward. And moving forward, for the Dodgers, meant doing something that the rest of baseball had not seen coming. According to multiple sources with knowledge of the negotiations, the Los Angeles Dodgers have finalized the biggest contract of the 2025 season, a deal worth $150 million that will bring a premier relief arm into the organization and immediately address the bullpen crisis that the 3 simultaneous DFAs created space for. The contract, according to those familiar with the terms, was negotiated with a speed and decisiveness that reflected the urgency the Dodgers felt about addressing their bullpen situation. This was not a deal that went through weeks of back-and-forth deliberation. According to multiple sources, once the organization committed to the direction, once the 3 DFA decisions were finalized, the front office moved with remarkable efficiency to bring in the target they had identified. $150 million. The largest pitching contract of the season. Signed by a team that had just simultaneously designated 3 members of its bullpen. The message was unmistakable. The Dodgers were not retreating from their championship ambitions. They were doubling down on them. They were acknowledging a problem, eliminating that problem decisively, and immediately replacing it with a solution of the highest possible caliber. According to multiple sources inside the organization, the reaction among the players when news of the signing spread through the clubhouse was notably different from the heavy atmosphere that had dominated the past 48 hours. There was energy. There was a sense that the organization had responded to adversity not by flinching, but by attacking. That shift in energy, according to those present, was exactly what Roberts had been hoping for. In the aftermath of everything, the Phillips incident, the Roberts announcement, the 3 DFAs, the $150 million signing, the question that every person inside and outside the Dodgers organization wanted answered was simple. How was Shohei Ohtani? According to multiple sources, Ohtani addressed his teammates briefly before the next workout session. He did not speak for long. He is not, by nature, a man who fills rooms with words. But what he said, according to those who heard it, carried the full weight of everything he had been through in the past 48 hours. He told his teammates that he was okay. That what had happened had not changed how he felt about being a Dodger. That his focus, his complete, total, unwavering focus, remained exactly where it had always been. On winning. On competing. On being the best version of himself for this team every single day. And then he picked up his bat and went to work. That image, Ohtani, after everything, simply returning to work, reportedly moved several of his teammates in ways they did not expect. Because it was such a perfect encapsulation of who he is and why this organization was so determined to protect him. He does not carry drama. He does not carry grudges. He carries a baseball bat and an expectation of excellence that elevates everyone around him. And the Dodgers, after the most turbulent 48 hours of their season, are now more committed to protecting that than ever before. The Los Angeles Dodgers enter the next phase of this season fundamentally changed from what they were 48 hours ago. A player is gone who should never have done what he did. 3 bullpen arms have been cleared to make room for a $150 million solution. And a manager has stood in front of his team and drawn a line that will define the culture of this clubhouse for the remainder of the year. According to multiple sources, the mood inside the organization as of this morning is one of determined focus. Not comfort. Not relief. Focused, urgent, championship-level determination. Roberts said it best in that team meeting. We protect each other here. Or we don't stay here. The Dodgers have made their choice. And the rest of baseball is on notice.